In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, triggering the deadliest war in human history. With Blitzkrieg tactics, German forces crushed resistance across Europe. In less than 2 years, Hitler controlled most of Western Europe. Confident and unchecked, Hitler turned his eyes toward the east. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, began in June 1941. Initially successful, German forces reached deep into Soviet territory, but Stalin's scorched earth strategy slowed the German advance. As winter came, German troops froze without proper supplies or clothing. Thousands died not from bullets but from cold and starvation. Meanwhile, Soviet resistance stiffened, fueled by brutal determination. German supply lines stretched thin across the vast Soviet terrain. Every mile gained came with staggering losses. Hitler refused to retreat, locking troops into a frozen hell. Meanwhile, the Soviets regrouped and launched counterattacks. The Battle of Stalingrad became a turning point. Urban warfare tore both armies apart in brutal house-to-house combat. After months of siege, the Germans were surrounded. Over 90,000 German troops surrendered at Stalingrad. This catastrophic defeat shattered the myth of German invincibility. And in the West, the Allies prepared to open a second front. Germany now faced war on 2 fronts, East and West. Meanwhile, British and American bombers pounded German cities from above. The bombing campaign crippled factories and crushed civilian morale. But Hitler ignored reality, obsessed with impossible victories. On June 6, 1944, the Allies stormed the beaches of Normandy. Caught off guard, German forces scrambled to respond. Within weeks, Allied troops pushed deep into France. The Nazi war machine was breaking down under constant pressure. Meanwhile, in the east, the Soviets were closing in fast. The German army, once unstoppable, was now in full retreat. Entire divisions collapsed as Germany's enemies attacked from all sides. Fuel shortages crippled Hitler's war machines. Factories were bombed, supplies dwindled, soldiers starved. Inside Germany, fear and paranoia gripped the population. Hitler's inner circle was fractured, full of rivalry and delusion. He refused to surrender, sacrificing millions to delay the inevitable. The Allies crossed the Rhine, marching toward Berlin. By early 1945, Berlin was surrounded. The final battle for Berlin turned the city into rubble. In his bunker, Hitler chose death over defeat. With Hitler dead, Germany was leaderless and broken. Chaos spread through the ranks as commanders fled or surrendered. In Berlin, Soviet troops raised their flag over the Reichstag. Underground, Nazi officials scrambled to destroy evidence. On May 2nd, Berlin officially surrendered. German soldiers laid down their weapons across Europe. Millions of civilians were displaced, starving and homeless. Entire cities were reduced to ashes. The world witnessed horrors they couldn't imagine. The Holocaust was no longer a rumor, it was real. On May 7, 1945, Germany signed its unconditional surrender. The war in Europe was officially over. But Germany was in ruins, split into 4 occupied zones. Berlin itself was carved up, a city divided by ideology. The world soon learned the full extent of Nazi atrocities. In 1945, the Allies held the Nazis accountable. The Nuremberg trials began a new era of justice. For the first time, genocide was prosecuted as a crime. The trials exposed the inner workings of Nazi cruelty. 24 top Nazi leaders faced judgment before the world. Germany's surrender didn't bring peace, it started a new conflict. The Cold War had begun, with Germany at the center. Germany would never return to what it was. But why did Nazi Germany really lose the war? The first reason, fighting on too many fronts. Hitler underestimated the Soviet Union's resilience. His obsession with Moscow stalled the entire Eastern campaign. Second, the Allies controlled the seas and skies. Germany could no longer defend its own cities. Factories were bombed. Supply lines collapsed. Hope vanished. Germany was bleeding from the inside. Hitler's paranoia destroyed his own leadership. He purged his best commanders out of fear. His ideology blinded him to strategy. Occupied nations never stopped resisting. Sabotage, assassinations, and uprisings drained German morale. The youth were thrown into hopeless battles. Desperation replaced strategy. The Nazi regime had no exit plan, only death. By 1945, Germany was a broken shell of its former self. The war's end didn't erase the damage, it revealed it. Tens of millions were dead. Entire generations erased. Germany was carved into pieces, watched by former enemies. The people were left to bury the past or carry it. The world vowed never again. But why did Germany truly lose? Because war is not won by hate. But by truth, unity, and sacrifice, Germany lost because its vision was broken. And in that loss, the world learned what must never be repeated.